Elon Musk just stepped into a legal fight that was already heading toward the Supreme Court. On one side, Matt Armstrong, an independent builder who spent 2 years resurrecting hypercars that Ferrari and Bugatti declared beyond repair. On the other, two of the most powerful automotive brands in the world, using digital locks to do what their lawyers could not. And now, with Musk's entry into the dispute, the stakes have changed completely. This is the story of how a wrecked Ferrari, a stubborn YouTuber, and a single post on X set the entire automotive industry on edge. Matt Armstrong did not come from money. He came from a garage. After a bad BMX crash sidelined him, he returned to wrenching with a camera in hand and a clear-eyed understanding of what was missing from automotive YouTube. Nobody was showing the full, unvarnished process of rebuilding wrecked luxury cars. The failures, the dead ends, the parts that didn't fit. The channels that existed either edited out the hard parts or stuck to cars that were relatively straightforward to fix. Matt started small. A wrecked Audi TT that belonged to his girlfriend, with a repair estimate that exceeded the car's value. That first video didn't go viral, but it proved the concept. He bought more wrecked cars, BMWs first, then a Porsche, then a Lamborghini. With each project, the formula sharpened. He showed the auction purchase, the damage assessment, the bare chassis, the sourced parts. He built relationships with salvage yards, collector networks, and former factory technicians who had quietly left the corporate world. Within 3 years, his channel surpassed 6 million subscribers, making him one of the most watched automotive creators on the platform. Then he bought the Ferrari. Matt purchased a wrecked Ferrari 296 GTB. The previous owner had disabled the traction control on an open road, lost control, and crashed at speed. The damage was catastrophic. The front suspension was torn from its mounting points. The floor pan was punctured by road debris. Wiring harnesses were ripped apart throughout the front of the car. The carbon fiber monocoque, the structural backbone of the entire vehicle, was cracked in multiple locations. Ferrari's own dealership in Cyprus examined the wreck and issued a verdict. Repairing the car through official channels was effectively impossible. The quoted repair bill exceeded the car's value in its damaged state, and the dealership recommended writing it off entirely. Matt heard that verdict and made a bid of approximately 100,000 euros. A pristine 296 GTB was worth over $270,000. The math worked, but only if he could solve problems that Ferrari's own technicians said were unsolvable. Rather than simply restore the car to factory specification, Matt made a bolder decision. He acquired a complete Ferrari 296 Challenge body kit, ultra-lightweight carbon fiber bumpers, a redesigned diffuser, side skirts, and a towering rear wing. The 296 Challenge is a track-only machine built for Ferrari's single-make racing series. It has never been approved for road use in any form. Matt's goal was to build the world's first road-legal 296 Challenge Straight-L, a machine that Ferrari itself had never produced. The conversion demanded more than cosmetic changes. The cooling system had to be redesigned to accommodate the race car's central radiator layout. The suspension geometry was altered to match the Challenge's wider track. New mounting points were fabricated for the rear wing, which generates downforce levels the standard chassis was never engineered to support. Months of work at an extraordinary level of precision. Then, while Matt was still mid-build, spy photographers near Ferrari's Maranello headquarters captured images of a camouflaged prototype on public roads. It wore the 290 SIXS silhouette but carried a massive rear wing, revised front intakes, and a vented hood. Analysts reached an uncomfortable conclusion. Ferrari was quietly developing a road-legal version of the 296 Challenge, the exact car Matt Armstrong had already built in his garage. The automotive press noticed. Ferrari said nothing. Mechanically, Matt solved every problem the wreck presented. The car was complete. By any objective measure, the work was exceptional. But when he tried to start it, nothing happened. His technician worked through every diagnostic tool available on the independent market. Fault codes were cleared. They returned immediately. A deeper investigation revealed a communication failure within the car's electronic network, as though the system had never been properly initialized after the crash. They traced the fault to damaged CAN wires in a replacement harness, repaired them, isolated and tested the circuits, and tried again. The car stayed silent. With every mechanical and electrical solution exhausted, Matt contacted Ferrari directly. He sent a detailed email describing the rebuild, the challenge conversion, the hundreds of hours of labor, and the financial investment involved. He asked for one thing: a software reset. Ferrari's response arrived in the form of a paradox. Before any service could be performed, the car had to be inspected by a certified Ferrari body shop. The parts had to be verified as genuine. The modifications, the challenge body kit, the altered cooling system, had to be undone. In other words, to get Ferrari's help completing the car, Matt first had to dismantle everything he had built. And even if he complied, there was no guarantee Ferrari would follow through. The company could simply find another reason to refuse. It was a trap, and it had been constructed with precision. Ferrari's legal exposure rested on three pillars. First, intellectual property. The software running the 296 GTB's hybrid system is proprietary, and Ferrari argued that any attempt to access or bypass it constitutes an infringement of trade secrets. Second, safety and liability. A car rebuilt outside approved procedures poses a danger to the public, and Ferrari's brand could not absorb the consequences of a crash. Third, contractual control. Buying a Ferrari implies an ongoing obligation to maintain it by factory standards, and violating that obligation justifies refusing service, refusing parts, and pursuing legal action. That third pillar was the one with Supreme Court potential, because it raised a question British law had never definitively answered. Does a manufacturer retain authority over a vehicle after a legitimate sale? Ferrari was not Matt's only adversary. A quad-turbocharged W16 machine producing 1,500 horsepower with a market value exceeding $3 million. Bugatti refused to supply parts, but their resistance took a different form. Mate Rimac, CEO of Bugatti Rimac, went public on social media, directly challenging Matt's claims about the rebuild and questioning whether certain components had been accurately represented. Matt responded with footage. He documented every part, showed the sourcing trail, and walked viewers through each engineering decision. When the W16 engine fired and the Chiron moved under its own power, Rimac's argument lost most of its force. The Bugatti ran. The contrast between the two cases reveals something important. Bugatti's fight was about parts and reputation, whether an independent builder could source genuine components and accurately describe what he had done. Ferrari's fight was about something deeper, whether the software embedded in a car you legally own actually belongs to you. The Bugatti ran because Matt could rebuild it with his hands. The Ferrari stayed silent because a software lock was the only barrier left, and no amount of mechanical skill could touch it. On a Thursday evening, Elon Musk posted a thread on X. It opened with one sentence: "Software locks on cars you own are a form of theft." 11 posts followed. Within 4 hours, the thread had accumulated over 40 million views. Musk drew a clear historical line. From the John Deere tractor battles, in which farmers discovered their own equipment had been locked against independent repair, to the smartphone right-to-repair fights of the 2010s, to the automotive software dispute playing out right now. Then he moved from argument to action. He disclosed that a team of former Tesla and SpaceX engineers had spent months developing a universal diagnostic initialization tool. It is not a hack. It does not circumvent encryption or reproduce proprietary code. It is an open-source software framework that communicates with ECU systems using standard initialization protocols, legally distinct from any manufacturer's trade secrets. Independent cybersecurity researchers reviewed the documentation and confirmed its legitimacy. Then Musk named Matt Armstrong directly. Armstrong would be among the first to receive access to the tool, along with a dedicated support team of former Tesla engineers. Musk characterized Ferrari's software lock as a restraint of trade disguised as consumer safety. Tesla's legal team committed to filing an amicus brief in support of Armstrong if the case reaches the UK Supreme Court. Ferrari's three-pillar legal strategy began to crack immediately. The intellectual property argument weakens when the tool in question doesn't touch Ferrari's code. The safety argument becomes nearly impossible to sustain when the engineers contradicting it built the world's most advanced electric vehicle battery systems. And the contractual control argument, the one headed for the Supreme Court, now faces a direct, well-resourced legal challenge from a company with the means to see it through. Ferrari and Bugatti both declined to comment. Legal observers noted that silence of that kind, from companies with large PR operations accustomed to defending themselves publicly, means one thing: they are recalibrating. Ferrari and Bugatti don't simply sell cars. They sell access to a controlled ecosystem, one in which service, parts, and modifications all flow through authorized channels, and deviation from those channels can result in being blacklisted from future purchases. That model has survived for decades because no one with sufficient resources had ever challenged it directly. Matt Armstrong didn't set out to be a disruptor. He bought a wrecked car because the numbers made sense and the challenge appealed to him. The legal fight was an unintended consequence of a rebuild he documented for entertainment. But it is now the reality. If the case reaches the Supreme Court, it will force answers to questions that affect every car owner. Does purchasing a physical object extend to owning the software that controls its core functions? Can a manufacturer permanently disable a vehicle you bought legally? Does the right to repair include access to the digital systems that modern vehicles depend on entirely? Somewhere outside London, the world's only Ferrari 296 Challenge Straight Ale sits in a workshop. The bodywork is finished. The engine is primed. The hybrid battery is charged. The mechanical work has been done. Only a sequence of code stands between that car and the open road, and that code is about to meet its match.